All right, 6:37. I'm going to call the meeting to order. I'd ask everyone to rise for the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. First order of business, or next order of business, is approval of the agenda. I've got changes for the agenda, and then I'll open it for anybody else. The initial public comments, I would like to list already limited to 3 minutes, but limit that to addressing topics on the agenda, and then add after new business another public comments which are just open. Any topics open, but again, limit to 3 minutes. And then under new business, add a new item, the county equivalent proposal letter of endorsement, and then delete the Connecticut water service contract. We've got to get the final version to the other members of the board before we move forward. And we're looking, Sean, Kate, Joanne will get in touch with you. Hopefully we can have a quick special meeting at the end, toward the end of the week, and approve or not that contract.
Okay.
And I'll talk a little bit about it in my selectmen's update. Any other changes to the agenda?
No.
Okay. Just making a couple of notes here. All right, can I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
This is Sean. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as amended.
Thank you, Sean. All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye.
Right?
Aye.
Okay, motion passes unanimously. All right, next item, approval of minutes, 9 November minutes. Can I have a motion to approve the minutes as presented?
Let's see. Let me find them.
I'm reading, sorry, I didn't get a chance to read them yet. I'm skimming them right now.
Okay.
Yeah, there was one. I got to open mine back up. There was one. I don't know if it was on one of them. There was something to change, just a word or on it. Let me see if I can find it again. On November 9th, let's see. Okay, yeah, there was on this one here, on the drainage on 590 Foothill Road. The second line, because I honestly can't remember what she said. A few papers stating that she had been honest for 3 years. I'm not sure honest is the right word there. If it is, that's fine.
It was probably supposed to be, she has been on it, is my guess.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, she's like been on top of it kind of thing. That's my guess.
Okay,
That makes more sense to me.
it does. I was
Yeah.
like, why would she say honest? But that's what I kept hearing.
But I just read through them and I don't have any other changes. So I will make a motion to approve
Yeah.
the November 9th, 2020 meeting minutes as amended, as recommended to be amended.
All right, thank you, Kate. All in favor of the motion signify by saying aye.
All right.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries unanimously. All right, public comment. All right, hearing none. Selectmen's update. A few things to go over. Start with projects. Tylerville Water Project. It's one of those, we're down to the last little bit, which seems to be the hardest to get done. We've had 3 residents who don't want to abandon their wells and 2 businesses. Letters went out to them today from the town attorney reminding them of the requirements in the ordinance and that there was a period where they could apply to keep their wells, to ask for a waiver, but that period has long since expired. So those have gone out and we'll see what we get for a response to them. But other than that, we've got 96 houses and or businesses connected to the system. Everything else seems to be going fairly well. We still are trying to address how to get water to the cottage 109 Little Meadow. That's the one that's for all intents and purposes landlocked. We may end up, we're exploring going with a different construction company to put the line in just because the price quoted from the one that's on contract right now was exorbitant. The last thing, the Connecticut water contract is actually an installation and service agreement. We have 2 options with the Tylerville Water. We can either take over the operation of it ourselves and become a water utility, which means we're responsible for repairs, billing, and everything else, or we can go into an agreement with Connecticut Water to have them provide that service for us. It will be a 5-year renewable contract. But like I said, I'd hope to have it out to people early today. That hasn't happened, and it wouldn't be fair to get it out to the 2 of you to ask you to review a contract and comment on it tonight. Hopefully we can have a special meeting toward the end of the week. I'll have Joanne get in touch with you to see if we can coordinate that to discuss just that contract. And realistically, we should have had it in place long ago. We've been going back and forth with Connecticut Water on the terms because we're kind of in a gray zone right now if something goes wrong with the system as to who's going to do what. So we need to get it done. That's why I'd like to get it taken care of this week. We have finally agreement on the wording. Other projects, road work, well, obviously the paving season is wrapped up. Schuler Road was completed. I told you at the last update that it was scheduled to start shortly after the meeting, and it has been done. Other items to talk about, some financial things. Tax collections to date, percentage-wise, are tracking comparatively to our previous years. So we haven't seen an impact from the pandemic on tax receipts, other than we know some, particularly homeowners, paid their full tax bill instead of including the January payment in July of this year, because their attitude, a couple of them expressed was, well, I've got the money now and who knows what it's going to be like in January. So I'm still waiting to see the critical next tell for us is what do the January collections look like, which come in starting in February. That'll give us a good idea as to whether our tax revenue has been impacted by the pandemic significantly, which then plays into the budgets, which departments will start to develop shortly. Other financial items, the reevaluation has been completed. Notices have gone out to property owners. I imagine hopefully everyone on the call has gotten one if you own property. I do just want to caution people as a general note that a change in the evaluation of your property does not necessarily convey directly to a change in your taxes. If the reval value, if your property went down and an awful lot of residences did, that doesn't mean your tax bill will go down. There are a lot of other things that come to play. And conversely, if your property was appraised at a higher value than what it has been previously, and that did happen to some residences in town, that doesn't automatically mean you're going to be paying more. It depends on what the town's total budget and the school budget and a lot of other pieces. So, but anyway, the notices have gone out. The homeowners have a set period of time to present additional information to the reval company. And at that point, then it becomes what the town has, and any appeals beyond that have to go to the appeals board. Mentioned budgets have already started to be developed or will be. We're getting the letters out to the department heads this week, asking for a no increase because again, our tax revenue situation is so uncertain. Update on COVID-19. In November, we had a total of 51 cases for the month. So far to date in December, we've had 30. And I will make note that as I was typing up my notes to talk about tonight, which was at about 1 o'clock today, I had to update that December case count twice because we had new cases reported. So right now we're up to 30 in December. Unfortunately, we've had 2 fatalities reported in December, gives us a total of 3, and a total of 151 reported COVID cases. On the good news side, I'm sure you're all aware of it, the vaccines have been shipped. First shipment has gotten to Connecticut, and healthcare workers and medical first responders, first tier people are going to start to have probably already started to been inoculated. Next thing I want to talk about, you may have heard the swing bridge, which coincidentally was broken when I tried to cross it coming home tonight. Is scheduled to be worked on by the state. It's a 2 or 3 year project, 2 years, starting spring of 2022, going to fall of 2024. I think I've mentioned this before, but that will involve on their scheduling over a 2 or 3 month, a 3-month period, I think, potential closure to the bridge for like 3 days straight, Sunday night to Wednesday morning. That's a proposed schedule that might be adjusted, but it's going to be impactful. The reason I'm bringing it up today is the very good news on the swing bridge. Haddam and East Haddam, through the River Council of Governments, have been applying for the last couple of years to get a build grant to put sidewalks on that bridge to connect the 2 towns. It's about a $17 million project in and of itself. Last year, the state told us that we would be responsible for all of the costs, including strengthening the bridge to hold the sidewalks. This year, initially, they were saying, well, they built the bridge strengthening into the cost of the build. So when we applied for this year's grant, we only had to go for, I think it was $10 million, $7 million rather. Well, the better news is the state has come back now and said they're going to include putting sidewalks on the bridge as part of the overall bridge refurbishment. It's an 80-20 split cost with the federal government as far as the actual sidewalks on the bridge. However, it's not yet a freebie for the 2 towns. The sidewalk connections, which from us will go from Eagle Landing to the bridge, and on the East Haddam side from the bridge to in front of Goodspeed, the 20% cost share in there is the responsibility of the towns. The federal grant will still cover the 80%. We've just found this out last week. We'll start looking for grants to help fund that, but it's great news that the state's going to fund the sidewalk across the bridge and include the approaches in the total cost. It saves us a lot of money. Next state project you may have heard about because it's been on Facebook. The state is going to be renumbering the exits on Route 9 to comply with the federal numbering standards and actually primarily to replace signs that have just aged out. They've lost reflectivity, they're damaged, they need to be updated. As far as what the numbers are actually going to be, they match the mile markers, which one would think that, okay, that's a pretty cut and dried. Apparently it's not that quite cut and dried. They've already had 2 different versions of what the numbers will be, and some of it affects the Haddam exit. I've been assured that within the next month or so, they'll determine which methodology they want to use from the Fed and give out a final series of numbers. The project was actually awarded December 7th, but I've been told by the state not to expect to see any major changes in the first year. We might see some of the smaller signs going up, but the big signs will probably be the year after this. Another project just to mention so people are aware of it. There's a house, it's the Leverett Spencer House on Depot Hill Road. That is the last remaining worker house, or one of the last remaining worker houses from the mill workers from the area. The owner wants to be rid of it, basically, to either have it taken off his property or he's going to seek a demolition permit. There is a group, the Friends of the Cove, is working with the town to see if we can have that structure moved to the Higginham Cove area as sort of a welcome nature and heritage center. The owner's agreeable to that. We're in the preliminary stages, but I just want to make people aware that that is going forward. This was, the owner's seeking a demolition permit was subject to a fairly contentious planning and zoning committee meeting a month or so ago. This is just the next piece in that saga. And that is all I have. Do either Sean, Kate, do you have anything to discuss for the group?
This is Kate. I'll chime in with a couple comments and then I'll save a question for the end. I just wanted to touch on two things that you mentioned about the sidewalk that's going to go on the swing bridge. I've heard some comments that people think it's a silly idea, it's a waste of money. So I just wanted to mention two things. A, this is tax money, so if it doesn't get spent here, it's going to get spent somewhere else. So I'm happy to see that some tax money is coming back into our community. And the other thing is there was a public meeting about this probably a year ago, a little over a year ago. And the support for this project was unanimous. And, you know, it wasn't just a handful of people. There was a couple dozen people that attended that meeting. And we heard from a lot of business owners in Tylerville that, and on the East Haddam side, that this would really facilitate a lot of the pedestrian traffic that they see. I mean, I know I drove to East Haddam a couple weekends ago and there were bicycles going over the bridge and it's just not safe. So if this project can happen, you know, is it a top priority? No, but if it can happen, it's definitely beneficial. And then I just wanted to mention two things. Earlier this month, we had our last outdoor farmers market. Of course, it inevitably snowed and we had terrible weather the day it was supposed to happen, but we were successfully able to bump it until Sunday. And it went really well. It was absolutely freezing, but all the vendors came out. We had a terrific turnout. So thank you for everybody who came out to join us. And lastly, I just wanted to thank all the businesses and the individuals and the groups and Public Works who helped decorate the center with all of our holiday decorations. I won't name names specifically because I'll inevitably forget somebody, but there will be a thank you letter coming out in our local publications. It is a really monumental effort to get this going. It's mostly volunteers, so thank you to everybody who made that happen. And lastly, Bob, I did have a question. Has there been any movement on the cell phone towers? I know that's been brought up a couple times. I've just seen on like social media, and I know we're at the mercy of other companies, but I was just wondering if anything has happened.
The only thing that's happened on the cell phone towers is the company that is renting the sites to build the towers renewed their lease with us. So they think there's still interest. We're all still hoping, but they have not, to my knowledge, at least as of a month ago, been contacted by any of the cell phone carriers to have antenna space on any of those sites.
Okay, it's better than nothing.
Yeah. Okay, with that, Jen, I'll turn it over to you for the Board of Ed update.
Thanks, Bob. Let me call up my notes here. Jen Favalora, Board of Education. In November, we met once. We went over the 2021 school year. RSD 17 continues to operate our K-8 schools in a full in-person model, and the high school is still in hybrid as we finish out the renovations to the field house. Superintendent Hagman reported to the board that she meets weekly with superintendents throughout the region, as well as local health officials, to analyze the data as it relates to keeping students in school, quarantining where we must, and following the DPH's guidelines very strictly. The state did not advocate for proactively closing schools after Thanksgiving, and Dr. Hagman continues to prioritize keeping students in school as much as possible for as long as possible. Our numbers for families that have chosen to learn remotely remains consistent at 11%. At our November meeting, we had our continuous improvement plans presented to us. Each fall, the district's principals report their plans to the Board of Education. This year was a little different. We started with the curriculum coordinators giving their presentation, given this spring's COVID-related remote learning. They gave an overview of the math and literacy student data from this fall. Relative to years past, there were some positive highlights of on-track learning, but in some grades and subject areas, there has been learning loss as we were expecting. The curriculum coordinators have highlighted action steps to adjust instruction and focus on the major themes of each grade level in order to systematically close those gaps, as well as offering additional supports at all grade levels for any student who needs that. The other major themes throughout the presentations were to ensure that all Region 17 students feel safe, respected, and accepted, and also to promote connectedness and engagement for our students who don't get to really interact in the way that they are used to. These continuous improvement plans have been posted to the rsd17.org website under each of the school's pages. The Personnel and Evaluation Subcommittee reported to the board the district's plan to increase the part-time nurse position at the middle and intermediate school building into a full-time position. There was already one RN and one part-time RN, sorry, I should say one full-time RN, one part-time RN. What we're doing now is we're keeping that full-time RN and having a full-time LPN to manage all of the needs of the entire building there. There's 2 schools inside of that one building. The committee also reported that they're currently in the middle of contract negotiations with 2 of the district's bargaining units. Our strategic planning subcommittee is still working very hard on the vision of the graduate. They just had a kickoff meeting with principals, teachers, students, parents, community members like Bob, and Board of Ed members. The group is working to gather information from various sectors throughout the communities to identify the core skills and dispositions that are most important to see in an HK graduate. The group meets again in December, and they're going to be discussing the findings from their thought exchange that was sent out to the community and working on next steps for this very important work. We had a free school meal program offered through the USDA. It was started off at the beginning of fall and it was offered through December. That has been extended for the entire school year. So there is free lunch and breakfast breakfast is just for the elementary and intermediate school level. For anybody who's in school, for anybody who is remote learning, and it's also for any child under the age of 18 in our district who does not necessarily go to our school. If there is a remote learning day, we still offer the meals at Burr Elementary, and if school is canceled for snow days, we will not be offering meals that day. But you can go to our rsd17.org website under food services to find the meal order form. And finally, we have our 32nd annual HKTV holiday show. I'm so excited that they're still going to be able to hold this. It will be on December 23rd from 8 a.m. to 11 a.m. This year, the students have chosen to support the Nathaniel B. Field Foundation. It's a mental health awareness organization that aims to end the stigma surrounding mental illness. The telethon can be viewed on Comcast Channel 18, Frontier Channel 6090, and also on our website at holidayshow.rsd17.org. That's my report, but Kate, I also wanted to answer your question from last time around. You asked about environmental testing on the caulking that we had removed from the field house windows. And I wanted to let you and the public know that there was testing done by Fuss and O'Neill, and it did come back negative. And I'm happy to answer any other questions that you have.
This
All
is
right,
Kate.
seeing
Thank you,
that-
Jen. Oh, sorry, Bob. So the field house project is on schedule to be done like super duper soon?
End game. We're here. We're at the very end stages. I don't know exactly what is left to do, but it is on track and finally going to be over.
And so pending COVID cases, will the high school go back to full in-person learning like after Christmas?
The superintendent has not announced what the plan is yet. That was the original plan with what Bob has reported and what we're seeing in our community of COVID-related cases. I do not know where that stands, but she will be reporting that to the community as soon as that decision has been made.
Got it. Thank you.
All right, and I just wanted to add, I am part of the vision of the graduate group. We did meet twice in December. The last meeting ending at 6 o'clock tonight, and we have another meeting tentatively scheduled for early in January. All right, thank you, Jen. All right, tax refunds. In your package, you received the standard form for tax refunds. We have 3 under real estate totaling $447.85. 1, 2, 3. 9 motor vehicles for a total of $1,434.92, and no personal property, no motor vehicle supplements. I have a motion to approve the tax refunds as presented by the tax collector.
This is Sean. I will make a motion to approve the tax refunds.
Okay, thank you, Sean. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. All right, next item, we have a couple of appointments to boards to make tonight. First one is the Committee on Aging. Unfortunately, 2 of their members have passed away. The committee chairman got in touch with me, Thurston Clark. They would like to appoint Joanne Weichelman as a voting member on the committee. She's been a member as a representative of the High Meadows, but without voting authority. Like most appointments, we have to confirm it. I think she'd make a great choice, so I'd like a motion to approve appointing Joanne Weichelman to the Committee on Aging.
This is
This is
Sean.
Kate.
Go ahead, Kate.
This is Kate. I'll make a motion to appoint Joanne Weichelman to the Committee on Aging.
All right, motion's on the floor. Any discussion, Sean?
No, she's a fine choice. She'll do well.
I concur with that. So let's call for a vote on the motion. All in favor, say aye.
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 Okay, motion carries unanimously. The next one, appointment, is again, unfortunately, to fill a position where the incumbent passed away. This is on the alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals. Republican committee, it's a Republican position. I want to nominate Margot Chase Wells to fill the position. And I have a motion to approve that appointment of Margot Chase Wells to the alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
This is Kate. I'll make a motion to appoint Margot Chase Wells as an alternate to the Zoning Board of Appeals.
All right, thank you, Kate. Any discussion on the motion?
No.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you. All right, next thing you have in your package deals with the 2019, and yes, that is the correct year on here. Homeland Security Grant Program. We have to have a motion, and that's what's presented here, to be approved so we can accept the funds from the grant program, or actually so the River Cog is administering it, can go ahead with that. Do either of you have any questions on the resolution that was sent to you?
No, it's straightforward.
All right, can I have a motion to approve the resolution?
This is Sean. I'll make a motion. We approve this resolution for the was the Homeland Security resolution.
Okay. Any discussion? All in favor of approving the 2019 Homeland Security Grant Program resolution signify by saying aye.
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 Any opposed? Motion carried unanimously. All right, the next thing on the agenda is approved budget transfers. Technically, these got a little out of sync. They should have come to us before the Board of Finance. The Board of Finance has seen and approved them. We need to approve both, and under the governor's executive orders, Normally, the second of these, no, excuse me, it's request number 2020-5, $887,000. Normally, that transfer would go to a town meeting. But since under the executive orders, because of the pandemic, with the approval of the Board of Finance and Board of Selectmen and the finding these transfers necessary for the normal operation of the government during the pandemic, the two boards can approve them without taking it to public hearing or public meeting. And I will say, all we're doing is transferring funds from one account to another account. This isn't an expenditure, it's strictly a fund transfer.
I have a question on the transfer to the capital outlay. Why is there so much money going to, is that going into the capital non-recurring fund, or what is that exactly?
Yeah, that's capital non-recurring, basically.
Okay, now we're transferring out of other departments almost $900,000 into that fund?
That's correct. And also tax revenue. Tax revenue fund is 350,000 of that, so not a third of it, basically.
Now, these other lines we're taking them from, we will not come up short in those lines in June, or?
No, this is money. This is not from the current budget. This is closing out last year's budget.
Okay.
Those are unspent funds from previous fiscal year.
I guess, which begs the question is, how is there almost $1 million in unspent funds? But we can address that as we get into the budget season, I guess.
For this year's budget, exactly, Sean.
Yeah, this is Kate. That's exactly what I was going to ask, is if this is going to be a good baseline for assessing as we go into the next budget season of places that could potentially be cut.
Yes, I agree.
Okay.
Okay.
It gives us a good look at what we can trim possibly.
Yeah, but keep in mind the trimming is, this data effectively is the budget that was prepared 2 years ago. If a budget was cut, as some of them were for this year, these discrepancies may have been taken into account already, but it is something worth looking into.
Okay.
All right, let's address these one at a time. Let's request a motion to approve the request number 2020-5, transfer of $887,000 into the capital outlay fund.
This is Sean. I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of $887,000 into capital outlay fund.
Okay, thanks, Sean. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Okay, motion carries. Thank you. All right, now I'd like a motion to approve the transfer of $45,744 as requested in request number 2020-6 between the accounts specified therein.
This is Kate. I'll make a motion to transfer $45,744 from various funding sources to various departments.
Okay, thank you, Kate. Any further discussion on the motion?
No.
Call the question. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Aye.
Aye.
All right, motion carries unanimously. Next item, sale of a F-550 dump truck. This is a 2001 F-550. Been replaced by a newer truck. You should have gotten in your package comparable prices for comparable trucks. And the Public Works has found a buyer, and they've agreed to a price of $7,250. I have a motion to approve the transfer, or approve the disposition rather, excuse me.
This is Sean. I'll make a motion to approve the disposition of this truck.
Okay, discussion on the motion?
Yeah, just so I saw his comparables. I found some comparables that were higher. I'm not going to nitpick over it, but there were some comparables that were higher. I don't know what's wrong with the truck, so I'm just hoping we get the best price for it. But we're only talking couple $1,000s one way or the other. I'm just hoping we're getting the best price for it, that's all.
Yeah, I think the comparisons here are valid. A truck has had a long, hard life. Public Works tends to be tough on trucks, so I think it's a fair price on both sides.
Okay.
All right, with that, I will call any further discussion. Kate, anything?
No, I'm all set.
Thank you, Kate. All right. Call for a vote. Looking to approve the sale of the F-550 dump truck. All in favor, say aye.
All right.
Aye.
All opposed, say nay. Motion carries unanimously. All right. The last item to discuss, actually it's county equivalents. This is an item the River Cog Council of Governments is looking for a letter of support for a proposal that will be posted in the Federal Register. It has to do with allocation of federal funding. You may or may not be aware, Connecticut, Massachusetts, and Alaska are the only states that don't actually have counties. Alaska never did. Connecticut and Massachusetts abolished them. Unfortunately, the federal government, a lot of their grants are based and awarded on a county basis. That puts us at a disadvantage for that funding. So the Connecticut has approached the Department of Commerce to get them to accept our Council of Governments as county equivalents for funding purposes. There are 9 regional council of governments. We belong to the River Cog, but there are 8 others. This does not reinstitute counties. It does not establish another level of government. This is strictly for dealing with requests for funding from the federal government. Proposal will be in the Federal Register supposedly next week. Council of Governments is looking for letters from the towns to support the proposed change. And so with permission of the other 2 selectmen, we will go ahead and send out a letter supporting the proposed county equivalents. With that, any questions, Kate, Sean?
As long as they're not trying to say there's an established county government, yeah, I have no problem with this.
Yeah, no, it is absolutely not to try to put the cogs in any sort of a governmental role.
Yeah, my question would be like, are there any disadvantages to doing this, or is it purely just administrative?
It's, as far as I can see from the discussions we've had at the River Cog and from their questions booklet, their document they sent out, I don't see a downside. This is just for administration, obtaining and administration of federal funds.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. All right, not hearing an objection, we'll go forward and send out a letter of support for that proposal. All right, last item on the list, public comments, open session.
Hi, what is the procedure for making the public comment?
Barbara, I don't think Jen or Danny, the other 2 people on here have comments to make. If you would like to make a comment, just go right ahead.
Okay, hi, my name is Barbara Fernandez. I live at 91 Churchill Road in Haddam. I am here to express concerns about the garbage at the Jail Hill Road Park. I live right across the street from there. This is a concern that I have expressed on numerous times. There is an enormous amount of garbage in the park. There is a container full of garbage there that does need to be picked up. I have asked, I believe, the town to do this. The town does pick up the garbage when there are games there. It stopped doing that in November. And I understand that. But unfortunately, people still use the park and they still leave garbage and they put it in the dumpster that has to be picked up. And so I'm asking that the town please do that. Also, we are now getting squatters or vagrants there who spend the evening there. So we are concerned as far as having people living there. One individual said to me that he was homeless and that's why he's living in the park. So if the town could just address those two issues, I really would appreciate it. Thank you very much.
I will pass your concern on the vagrants to the troopers. I hadn't heard this report before. We will have, we're talking with Pete about a schedule for picking up the dumpsters up there. I will say I went up there not yesterday, Friday I passed by. Yes, there was trash in the dumpsters. The only other trash I found around the whole thing was it was a plastic bag from the grocery store style bag. It had a couple of food containers in it and 3 empty energy drink cans near it. So I don't think it's an excessive problem, but we will have the can up there emptied.
Thank you very much.
All right.
Actually, I do have one thing I just wanted to mention real quick. Just an update. There is a scholarship fund that is set up now in the Melissa J. Schlag Good Citizenship Education Award Fund is going to be managed by the Community Foundation of Middlesex County, and it'll be presented to a high school senior who is pursuing studies in one of in either civics, political science, journalism, or communications. It'll all be done through Middlesex County Foundation and the high school, and the teachers will decide who gets the award. And the awardee, the money will go directly to that person's school to defray their costs. So if anybody would like to donate, or they can go right to the Middlesex County Community Foundation's website.
Okay. Good to know. Thank you, Sean. Kate, any closing remarks?
No, this is Kate. I just wanted to thank Barbara for coming out and sharing her opinion during public comment. That's what we're here for. So thank you for taking the time to sit through this meeting and tell us what's going on, because it's hard for us to know if nobody tells us. So thank you for sharing, and thanks for sitting through the meeting.
Anytime, Kate.
Yes, thank you, Barbara. It's good to see you again.
Good to see you, Sean.
All right. I think we've reached the end of the agenda. And most importantly, I think my dinner should be here shortly. So I would like to call for a motion to adjourn.
This is Sean. I'll make a motion to adjourn.
All right. Thank you, Sean. All in favor, aye?
Aye.
Aye.
Unanimous again. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Sean and Kate. And if I don't see any of those of you I don't see, I hope you have a happy holidays, and by all means, please stay safe.
Yes.
You too. Take
Better
care.
2021 for all.
Yes.
Happy holidays, everyone.
Good night, everyone.
Night.